You're banging. I'm not getting it right. I know. I'm not getting it right. But the way I'm saying it. No, whoa. If people aren't aware, we're in a cultural crisis, severe cultural crisis in the country, a spiritual cultural crisis. But the main point being that there is no culture, and there are no role models. That those go hand in hand. Like how in other generations people had a culture of some kind. There's a bunch of sort of mass market cultures that aren't appealing, but we don't really have like a culture. Like how do you be? But what I think you knocked on. I mean, depending on who you are, there used to be role models for such a person. You know how to be a man in such and such situation or whatever it is. Um, there's nothing like that available. One reason but personally, a lot of us think the higher classes have no values at all and like don't care about the poor and like into all this Republican stuff. I'm unaware of any like role models for such people. Um, I would encourage you to look for again. There's a guy called Towns Van Zandt that Mark Maron used to talk about. There's a documentary on him that's interesting. There's a guy from the upper classes who did this thing really interesting because he cared a lot about the poor, but he knew who he was also. But we are on there really. So that's but there's no role models for such people. But also if you're in the if you're struggling to get by or you're living in a poor neighborhood, I don't know who would be a role model that way. And no matter where you're located in the culture, there's no role models like how to be a man, how to be a woman available, which there usually is. People take that for granted in other eras. That there's like it's not it's only appropriate for that era. You can't bring it into this one. It's like Humphrey Bogart. Like at one time, like people like wanted to be like Humphrey Bogart. Like handle things like Humphrey Bogart. There is none of that, but partly because there's no culture. There isn't the movies are all blockbusters. The music's mass market music. I mean, you can't get anything out of that that's unique. That's uniquely you or uniquely American, anything like that. It's made for like the sort of global audience, for like the mass market global audience. So none of it's really a genuine culture, and all the people in it are like not someone to look up to. Um, but that's a problem. But I mean, I want to give my opinion. There's a lot of writing on it, but people are looking at it in different ways. They're looking at it in different ways. LaRouche movement is really into bringing back classical culture. There's some stuff, the magazines that quite frankly, like I really think it borders on what they're saying borders on racism. I would encourage them to look at those things. Um, but also, there's just no. It's not. There are no positive role models. Let me put it that way for people, and like that's something that's real because I personally don't know who to look or who I'd look up to in a situation. But I mean, the best thing is to know about this problem, to know about it. That when we go to the movies and stuff, that's not providing any idea of like anything that would be how to act in a situation, how to be a person, how to be a hero, how to be a good person. There really isn't much of that in this time, and that's part of what's happening. That's what. But I mean, we don't know what to do about it. We don't know what to do about it. But what else? I was just to say any other writings on it we could refer to that aren't like my opinion. You know, a lot of the things that were in Francis Parker's book about that. He said the problem, his sort of way of looking at it was that because in this era, the one thing that sort of entered in. I mean, it was there too, but now it's entered the culture, which is sort of like a psychological awakeness and like what he would call Freudianism. He said, but the problem with Freudianism is it is only anti-cultural significance. Like it would explain certain things as what the psychological thing going on is, but that doesn't say how to act. So that's not really the way to look at it. Um, it's hard to find out what to do and how to act when you're coming up in America. There are no role models and there is no culture. But it's not to it's what I wish I could say more, but like just to be aware of it and look into all the writings on it would be my advice. The one thing to know is there are no role models. Not really.